February 8th, 2024 patch notes. I'm going to go over it as fast as I can. But first, tip of the day. There's a new feature that's honestly awesome for people who play on PC and on mobile. In the menu in the bottom right, there's a phone with an arrow around it. There's now an auto reconnect feature. You can resume auto battle, gathering, mining, and resume auto battle while reconnecting. If you're auto farming in the field like so, on your PC or laptop, whatever, and you log in on your phone, you can do whatever you want to do on mobile, then go back to a spot and auto AFK farm, but you can shut down your mobile client. Your PC will then auto reconnect and start farming for you on your PC. The more you know. Artifacts. We have new legendary artifacts for beast monks and for ravens. Fire, wind, water wise, Wind Raven got a buff. I'll talk about that soon, but he is now very, very good. If you have light and dark raven, these two artifacts are amazing as well. For beast monks, fire, wind, water, all three of them are good, especially with the buffs to beast monk. Again, talk about that later. I would say fire and water is probably best and wind last. And again, light and dark if you have them. The dark artifact is huge. I'm going to be building my dark beast monk back up. Summoner changes. Heath enters the battle for 4 seconds under shadow state. This means move speed up, crit damage up, accelerate skills. This was a huge issue because Auto didn't use his evasion skill. When you use his evasion skill manually, he does get shadow state again, but every 20 seconds now during battle. If the evasion skill is full, he automatically goes back into shadow state. This is a great buff for Heath. Change of mind, he gets damage dealt up for 4 seconds now instead of 3. He now gets damage taken down from his evasion stat. His fire skill Decimate, which I don't use, now gets damage dealt up to creatures. Heath now has a defense down for PvE on the dark weapon second skill. So PvE wise, dark is probably better, but I'll showcase why light is better in a certain area in a different video. Monster balancing, there's a lot. Good old Louise. Huge issue in PvP. She literally got a buff. What the heck is that? Stupid. She gets another buff. More heals on her second skill. What the hell is that? Her passive now has a 30-second cooldown. Good start, but she still needs more nerf. Water Raven is now like a defense-based assassin. Does more damage on his first skill, more damage on his second skill, and has 4 chances to remove buffs. Possibly could be decent, but again, if he gets a defense down debuff on him, then his damage goes down tremendously. With all the artifacts and these monster buffs, there is a recurring thing that they're trying to show. Removing more buffs. I like it, but we're going to have to see how it plays out. We now have weak point assassins. This is huge. I was just talking about this the other day, is that we need it. Wind Raven got a huge buff. He does weak point and root on his basic attack. This will help with Orbeas and Soletas just kiting you non-stop. Both of his skills were changed to weak point as well. So with his basic and skills, you don't need to build crit rate or crit damage anymore. Attack speed, attack, and precision. His first skill now applies block harmful effect removal, ignores beneficial effects. Second skill now attacks 5 times. If the target's rooted, then he also gets defense pen and now undead. And again, weak point attack with ignoring target's damage mitigation. Wind Raven is such a huge buff. And with his artifact, it's just huge. Light Raven, OP. Dark Raven, not OP, but still very, very good. The once overrated water beetle, Sir Neptune. His passive now ignores the lethal damage. And whoever did the damage, it now removes all those buffs from that enemy and applies block beneficial effect, along with the heal and the endure. We may see Water Beetle. Dark Beetle got a slight buff. When he explodes poison, he now gets a shield, and his passive now applies poison to enemies every 7 seconds. This is pretty huge since it starts at the beginning of the battle. Velajul, he needed somewhat of a buff. He was decent, but now his first skill removes 2 buffs, and we now have a monster that can remove destroyed HP. Velajul will now recover 50% of the destroyed HP, and with that destroyed HP, he heals that. And when he removes debuffs, because he removes all, decreases summoners and monsters' skill cooldowns. I feel like Velajul is in a way better spot. Eladriel, a huge buff. Casts Soul Protection on all allies, revives 2 monsters and applies Soul Protection to them. Level 1 heal over time. He's honestly better than Light Pioneer in my opinion now. Artemiel Artemil got a small buff. He now removes 2 buffs from his passive. Kumar's second skill, which is Trick of Fire, it now has a bigger effect range. With his artifact, I feel like Kumar is even in a better spot. He was good before, but now even better. Water Beast Monk Chandra now can remove a buff on his first skill, and the crit rate down is now level 2. His second skill, which is Defend, now adds defense buff, and it now adds bonus damage if it stuns an enemy from his Defend. The effect range for Ritesh is also increased. Light Beast Monk Shazam, second skill now removes 2 buffs. See, everybody's getting buff removal, and removes 1 harmful effect from allies now. Dark Beast Monk, I can't wait to build him back up. His first skill, which blocked beneficial effects, now removes 1 buff, and then applies block beneficial effect. I feel like that should be remove immunity, but hey, I'm just a player. His Defend now removes 2 harmful effects, defense buff. I really like how they're changing Defend. I still feel like Defend should be an unremovable buff, but again, hey, what do I know? Rakan got some big changes. Instead of the level 3 Reflect, which he should have kept, he now removes all harmful effects from himself, gives him immunity, and he now counterattacks for 14 seconds, with a very low chance. His basic has a 6% rate to apply level 1 crit res down. I do like the remove harmful effects and immunity, but they should have kept the Reflect. There's no more burn from Rakan. Rakan now has damage drain on his second skill, provoke and damage dealt up. I honestly feel Rakan got a nerf, and he wasn't even used much in the first place. Big changes for Lagmaron as well. He also now has crit res down on his basic. If he knocks down an enemy, he decreases the cooldown of lightning by 50%. And lightning is an AoE skill based off his HP, but it now removes immunity from enemies. He gets damage dealt up buff, and also can cause airborne, which will decrease the cooldown of his first skill. Lagmaron definitely got a buff compared to Rakan. The whole removing immunity and then being able to CC and decrease the cooldowns of himself. Maybe we'll see some Lagmaron. Like Khamira's Shan, now has a knockdown on his first skill, Squall. Shan was decent, but he wasn't like any really strong light and dark nat 5. I don't think the addition of knockdown is going to really help. Camilla, huge changes. Night Revival now adds spell shield to himself and the summoner. That's pretty huge. And his passive now decreases crit damage by 120%. It was 50 before. That's a crazy amount. This is for Camilla and your summoner. Might be OP for Orbia and Soletta, who knows? They just keep giving Fire Hell Lady Rocky some things. If the target has attack down, then she will heal herself. If the enemy's below 50%, she deals 100% more damage. She now has splash damage on this skill, which the skill does unrevivable and ignores target's death denial effects. Huge against assassins. And this skill now does attack down, which makes sense for her first skill. They really want us to use Fire Hell Lady. I'll leave a link to the description below to all the monster changes. New Rainbow Dungeon event. Get those 5-star Rainbow Mons that we all need. Along with this Rainbow Powder, which you can use to get Devil Mons and more Rainbow Mon. And also Essences too. There's a note they said that they modified the supports and assassins to be slightly forward and advanced in the formation. I would think this is good for assassins to get to that backline quicker, but for supports, I don't know. Let's test this out. I got a support in this team, and let's see where Heath is positioned. And then I'll see what an actual assassin monster is positioned as well. Alright, so Heath is still in the back, which is kind of weird. The support is like literally right up front where the knight is. I don't know, the support being that close, I get it so they can put the buffs on us, right? Because there's a lot of times where like my assassins don't get the buffs from the supports. But is that going to make a difference? We'll see when I put an assassin monster in. Oh, side note, I found out why my ultimate was doing crap damage. It's because it was at level 1 in my skills. RIP. Alright, we got some backliners, Tsarian and Gianna. Let's see how close my Dark Panda is. And will the support be able to buff the assassins? Because I think that's the main reason why they did it. I wouldn't see why other reason they would. Dark Panda's in the back. That just doesn't make sense at all, does it? It doesn't make sense to me. I don't get it. Hey, I did get the buff and the shield from my support, so that is nice. My assassin was not slightly advanced in positioning, that's for sure. And that's it for today's update. It was a lot, I know. The more you know.